While outrageous parents around the country filling their school board meetings and voicing out their concerns over CRT, the established media now has a new narrative on critical race theory. What is it? And how is that similar to what Chinese Communist Party has to say about the victims of the Uyghur concentration camps? Hello, welcome to Win Kathy Show. Today it's still me, by myself, and we will come back for the next show. So hope you will stay with me today. The topic is quite interesting. So on Sunday, June 20th, New York Times writer and the creator of 1619 Project, Nicole Hannah Jones, said on the MSNBC program that parents' concerns over critical race theory were a Republican strategy to suppress the racist past of country. That's a quote unquote. So the MSNBC anchor Ali Velshi asked Hannah Jones to, quote, correct the record of a CRT is actually an interesting part of history. That's his word. But not having little white children hate themselves, unquote. So Hannah Jones replied,
that is just Republican strategy. And it's a way of dismissing this work that is forcing us to confront both the racist past of this country and the way that racist past still shapes the society that we live in by pretending that what it's really doing is trying to paint all white children as racist or make all white people think that they're racist.
In the meantime, NBC on June 15th published a long article titled Critical Race Theory Battle Invades School Boards with Help from Conservative Groups. And it started out saying the definition of a CRT as, quote, the academic study of racism's pervasive impact. So then again, on Sunday, June 20th, NBC's anchor Chuck Todd said on the Meet the Press show that the outrageous parents are experiencing over critical race theory was manufactured. He was countering against actually replying to the PBS reporter Amna Nawaz. She shared her reporting on Loudoun County, Virginia, how dozens and dozens of parents showed up at the school board meeting on a 100-degree day. And she pointed out it is because the issue of a CRT. Then the Republican strategist, another guest of the show, Brad Todd, expressed his observation and see how anchor Chuck Todd replied.
This is something that is mobilizing people and resonating very deeply.
You mentioned critical race theory a couple times. This is a parent-led backlash at the grassroots level.
And it's manufactured.
No, it's completely.
All right. So as Chuck Todd asserted, it's manufactured. And then the other Todd, the Republican strategist, Brad Todd, trying to say, I don't agree with you. And Chuck Todd actually used a pen to point it out to another guest of the show, MSNBC political analyst Cornell Belcher. And let's see how he commented.
There's no way this is not grassroots. And Brad, you know this is organized and is being paid for.
He said that there's no way it's grassroots. So, but he, without providing any evidence. So really, the dissident voice against CRT, are they manufactured, and are those people were paid for? So let's take a look. Who are the parents or the people who voiced loudly against the CRT? So first of all, as we shared with you before, and you may know, the Chinese-American mom from Virginia, Loudoun County, Shivan Fleet.
I just want to let the American people know that what's going on in our school and in our country is really a replay of the Cultural Revolution in China. And I want people to see there's similarities, and the similarities are terrifying. They use the same ideology and same methodology, even the same vocabulary, and with the same goal. The ideology is cultural Marxism.
All right. So let's take another look at a person who outspoken against CRT is a North Korean defector, Yomi Park.
At Columbia University, literally every professor was saying that, the problems that we have on today's world is because of white men. How they colonize Africa, how colonize, Asia, right? That's how they mess up everything, and they are the one who needs to be blamed. And I couldn't believe that. Am I sitting in North Korea's classroom or in America? Actually, I couldn't believe why people were hating their own people that much.
So when Yomi was asked how she feels about after overcoming so much difficulty and finally made it to the United States, but now feeling like, just wondering if she went back to North Korea.
It's just heartbreaking. I thought I landed in a country where I can say what I believe and have my, freedom to think. However, now I end up in a country, I have to constantly censoring my speech because now in the name of a safe place, Colombia was told us what we cannot talk about.
Yeah.
And I am so concerned, if America is not free, I think there's no place else is left that is free. And I think that's why it's really alarming to me.
All right. So you've heard the reasons why they oppose to the critical race theory. Let's just listen again.
And the similarities are terrifying.
It's just heartbreaking.
So that's the reason. By the way, Yomi Park, quite a few of our audience suggest me to interview her. Actually, I was able to contact Yomi, and she replied. So we are just setting up a schedule to talk. So hopefully we'll bring you her interview pretty soon. All right. So talking about the parents who are against the critical race theory. They are not just only those people who experienced the communist regime, how they saw the similarity, what's happening in the United States right now with the CRT, reminds of them what they experienced in a communist country. There are also other people who may not have such experience, but they also realized they don't want CRT. So there was a short video by a African American father and his little cute 6-year-old daughter went viral days ago.
Daddy teaches you can be anything in this world that you want to be, right? Don't Daddy teach you that?
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if you're black or white or any color.
Doesn't matter if you're black, white, brown, yellow. Right?
Black.
And how we treat people is based on who they are and not what color they are.
And if they're nice and smart.
See, this is how children think right here. Critical race theory wants to end that. Not with my children. It's not gonna happen. My baby's gonna know that no matter what she wants to be in life, all she has to do is work hard, and she can become that.
Work hard, even though you don't know anyone. You can make friends.
Yeah, you can make friends, no matter what color they are. So we need to stop CRT, period, point blank. Children do not see skin color, man. They love everybody. If they're good people, they love them.
We pray for people that are hurt.
So how this father and the daughter duo be paid for? What do you think? Would they be paid to do this? And so not only the parents, there are also brave teachers who spoke out. And there was a teacher from Fairfax County. She's a public school teacher, and she went to the Loudoun County school board meeting and spoke out. Let's take a watch.
Fairfax County public school teacher, and I'm going to give a message of encouragement to parents and teachers and students who are too afraid to come and speak forward. Parents, the longer that you wait and you don't hold your child's schools accountable gives these guys more time to dictate what's best for your child's physical, mental, and emotional health. Don't be afraid to speak out for your kids because they are voiceless and they rely on you. You should be afraid of them rooting for socialism by the time they get to middle school. Teachers, it may seem that our careers have come to a dead end, but I'm here to remind you we don't work for the school board. We work to mold the next generation of well-rounded American patriots. So don't give up because it is up to us. Students, you are on the front lines of these indoctrination camps. Challenge the staff when you're presented with a ludicrous statement, and do not allow anybody to tell you that you cannot accomplish anything because of your skin color or to hate yourself because of your skin color. Students, it is up to you to be the next generation of victims or victors. And finally, to the board, this isn't over, and your policies are just as pathetic as making us wear masks when you're
Her name is Lilith Venetian, and at the end, her mic was muted. And by the way, Lilith also had experience living under former communist regime, Armenia. So, teacher like Lilith was cut off for opposing CRT, and some even got even more severe consequence, got fired from the job. Tanner Cross, an elementary school physical education teacher in Loudoun County, again in Virginia, was suspended for publicly refusing to teach students about transgender concepts. So the Virginia Loudoun County School Board proposed to adopt the transgender policy and had meetings to receive public comments. So during the public comment session on the May 25th meeting, Cross expressed his concern using his 1 minute of the time. He quoted his Christian faith and said that he thought the proposed transgender policy is both child abuse and a sin. And he said he's a teacher, but he's serving God first. He's not sure that a biological boy can be treated as a girl or vice versa. And he said that's against his religious belief. So he thought that's lying to children, it's abuse to children, and he expressed that he loves all his students, but he will never tell lies to them, regardless of the consequences. So indeed, there was consequences for him. 2 days after he spoke, he was suspended from his job and barred from entering the school's facilities. However, a nonprofit organization called Alliance Defending Freedom helped him to bring the school board to court. A week later, the Loudoun County judge issued a temporary injunction and ordered the school to resume his job. So the judge believed that the school board could not punish Cross for exercising his rights under the First Amendment of the Constitution. So I interviewed the lawyer for Tanner Cross. His name is Tyson Lenhofer. He's a senior counsel and the director of the Center for Academic Freedom at the Alliance Defending Freedom.
That's a very scary situation, absolutely, because the basis of our democracy, our republic, is the ability of the public to voice opinions, even unpopular opinions. That's what the First Amendment is supposed to protect. The opinions that the majority doesn't want to hear or that the government doesn't want to hear.
Yeah, so that's that's the his opinion on this issue, and I also asked him, how pervasive he believes this problem is.
We do work across the country, and this is what we do. The Alliance Defending Freedom, the Center for Academic Freedom, we represent teachers and students throughout the country in their First Amendment rights. And we're seeing an increasing number of teachers and administrators reach out to us and say, I tried to talk about this policy and they're trying to retaliate against me. So it is growing. Tanner's case is not the only case.
Okay, so we also kind of notice, like the school board at Loudoun County and other in other counties. A lot of times the school board kind of flip-flop on whether they're gonna teach CRT. So why does that happen? Because sometimes they will say, "Oh, we are not adopting the CRT as the platform," but then they indeed actually do it. So what's the reason?
I see a lot of money being poured into school boards by outside interest groups. That's what's happening. It's not the school. It's not the the public that's demanding this. It's outside third parties coming in and trying to force their ideology on school districts that aren't desiring it, but they're trying to do it through that. And that's why you see a lot of public backlash, because the parents and the teachers, they don't want this. This is third parties. And so I think school districts need to listen to their constituencies and stop listening to these third party advocates that are trying to push divisive ideologies that are not best for the school districts themselves.
Okay, so who is really paying the money? And so it can be expect that the battle between the supporters and opposers of the CRT, the critical race theory, probably will continue, and how it would go. And let's just, we'll pay attention to that and continue to report to you. So on the other hand, let's take a look at what happened in China and why there's some kind of a similarity. Okay, so recently, what happened in China? Okay, so the CCP's propaganda media, People's Daily, just reported on Monday that a representative of the party in Western Xinjiang claimed that every single person who has testified to being tortured, and forced into slavery at the Chinese communist concentration camp was an actor. So let's just understand some background. Chinese Communist government began building concentration camps in Xinjiang in 2017. By the end of 2018, the Reuters, the news agency, documented evidence of existence of at least 1,200 concentration camps in Xinjiang, where majority of China's Uyghur populations live. A year later, the Pentagon estimated that the CCP was imprisoning up to 3 million people in those camps. So a very small number of those 3 million have managed to escape, and an even smaller amount of them have publicly talked about their suffering endured there. So the survivors spoke about the widespread communist indoctrination through torture, including depriving sleep and food, and the severe beatings, even gang raping, and electric torture devices for rape, and the use of a tiger chair to force prisoners into painful position, and widespread use of prisoners for slave labor. And outside of the concentration camps, the Chinese Communist Party has implemented the surveillance technology on the street of every major Xinjiang city and required GPS monitoring of all cars in the region. So human rights activists have noted that the elimination of a population through mass sterilization, forced abortions, and the infanticide fits the legal definition of genocide, and that's what's happening in Xinjiang by the CCP. So the most recent, so why the People's Daily report on that, and why the spokesperson claiming whoever came out to testify are actors, because recently, just at the beginning of June, starting on June 4th, there was a Uyghur tribunal held in London, UK, and some survivors testified. So the tribunal featuring over 30 witnesses, including former officers and former inmates in the concentration camps. And they detailed their experiences under the Chinese Communist Party's ruling, and including a former policeman now exiled in Germany. He testified that the Chinese authorities have unleashed tens of thousands of untrained recruits in Xinjiang from all over the country to inflict as much damage as they can on Turkey peoples. So in the short time he worked there, he witnessed about 150,000 people were sent from inner China. So, because this Uyghur tribunal obviously became a international news, to counter that, the Chinese Communist Party sent a spokesperson in Xinjiang called Xu Guixiang, and claimed on a press conference on June 18th. He claimed that the Uyghur tribunal is illegal, and he described all the participants are actors. She claimed the British tribunal opened on June 4th was set up by Western anti-China forces and the East Turkestan organizations, groups of secessionists advocating Uyghurs' independence. And he claimed that it has invited dozens of so-called anti-China experts and scholars to prove a non-existent lie of genocide by Chinese government against the Uyghur ethnic groups. Okay, so that's his claim. But who actually used the actors? Back in May, actually we reported this news, I don't know if you remember. In May, in the face of accusations of the persecuting Uyghurs and the genocide, the Chinese Communist Party released a series of videos to refute it. In the videos, it showed Uyghurs praise the CCP, denying the abuses, and also having some Uyghurs just condemning former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. So, but later, the media found that, for example, one of the person who showed up and condemned the Western world and Pompeo, actually, it's an actor actually, because the person who claimed to be a graduate student of the Xinjiang Education and Training Center, he called this concentration camp as a training and education center, and he said that he learned laws and regulations at the education training center, and also a knowledge of business management and so on and so forth. However, it was found out that this person claimed to actually appeared in another video a few years ago, and he said that he was graduated from Fudan University in Shanghai, actually where Kathy in a way graduated. And he said he graduated from Fudan University 15 years ago, and after the graduation, he started a partnership with a friend and became an entrepreneur. So how come an entrepreneur, graduated from a very, very famous university in Shanghai 15 years ago, suddenly became a graduate from the so-called Xinjiang Education and Training Center? He was an actor. So indeed, when the Chinese Communist Party tried to prove he's right, what they did was right. They would use actors. It's no strange to people like Kathy and Wei who grew up from that regime. So, but now, whatever they don't like, the opinions or the dissentant opinions, they would say it's fake, it's illegal, or it's elicited by anti-China force. So now we saw the similar thing is happening in the United States, isn't it? So the people who oppose CRT, are they actors or they got paid? You can make your own judgment, right? But this type of a similarity is really alarming. So we should really pay attention to. So, yeah, this is the topic I would like to discuss with you today. And unfortunately, today I don't have a joke. So, but on Wednesday, we will be returning, and hopefully he will bring a joke. All right, thank you for being with me. And if you like the video, please share and make sure you are subscribed to the channel. And we are sometimes do some short videos, just cut out from the long form because sometimes people wanted to watch shorter ones, and it's easier for distribution. And so would appreciate it if you would like to just send and share with your friends. All right. So thanks again, and have a good night. Take care. See you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.